Hey guys, halfclickup here. Got some fresh new information on Aprilia's upcoming RS660. Now, I had a little bit of a sprinkle on the way to this nice little quiet spot in this park, so let's go ahead and get you guys up to speed before we get poured on. Oh, so it's not as if this is some kind of secret squirrel insider information or anything. In fact, if you signed up for Aprilia's RS660 newsletter, you got this same email this morning. This is hot off the press as of just after 11 a.m. this morning on September 17th. Today's a Thursday. So the title of the email is RS660, the opinion of those who have tried it in advance. So it sounds to me as if this is going to include some first-hand rider information about this upcoming motorcycle. So let's go ahead and go straight to the review. We scroll up here to Aprilia RS660 shows early promise. Read more. Alright, so the article says, to date, apart from Aprilia's technicians and testers, only two other people have had the opportunity to test the RS660, journalists from the Italian magazine Motociclismo and the German magazine Motorrad. Federico Aliverti from Motociclismo and, I think that's pronounced Seitz from Motorrad, each rode an RS660 at the end of July. The bikes they tested were pre-production models, with the electronics that were still awaiting final completion, but each rider's experience delivered crystal clear indications about the nature of Aprilia's new middleweight twin-cylinder sport bike. Alright, so here comes the fascinating part to me. Obviously, I've already read this through. The engine, guys, and we'll talk about this more in a little while. Even during these initial tests, it was immediately clear that two of the RS660's character traits were certainly fully formed. The RS660's engine and its character immediately impressed both riders. Quote, "This engine is fantastic," wrote Federico of Motociclismo. "It's sweet at low revs, with a strong mid-range and a wickedness at high RPM that makes you question if it really is 100 horsepower and not more. The sweet power delivery from 1,800 RPM propels you out of hairpin bends without any hesitancy. The mid-range pull becomes obvious from 4,000 RPM and lends the engine loads of flexibility to the point many roads can be enjoyed comfortably using just third gear. Then, at 8,000 RPM, there's a marvelous change of tone that accompanies you like a battle cry up to 11,200 RPM, while you shoot into one gear after another at the speed of light, thanks to an excellent quick shifter." During a stop on the test route in the mountains above Aprilia's Venice home, both testers praised the engine before anything else, taking it for granted that an Aprilia's chassis could be nothing less than excellent. What struck them was how the chassis excellence marries perfectly to the brand new engine. Motorrad wrote, "With all the experience gained from 54 world titles, and with the certainty of being at the top of the industry in terms of chassis, Aprilia RS660 developers have created a wonderfully agile and at the same time neutral and stable chassis." In addition to its excellent dynamic qualities, another of the 660's facets to grab the journalist's attention was its design. The Aprilia RS660 is the product of an in-depth style study, and that makes it an indisputably fascinating motorbike. The innovative idea of creating a double fairing with integrated aerodynamic appendix function represents a real window to the future. Federico Aliverti and Seitz had no doubt that the inspiration came from the racing world. One of the functions of the double-walled fairing is to optimize stability at high speeds. When they got off the bike, the two journalists asked the same question. When could I come back for another ride? And you? How much do you want to get on an Aprilia RS660? Well then, let's go ride and talk about it, shall we? Alright, again, before we take off, these key statements bear repeating, and we'll talk about why here in a second. It's sweet at low revs, with a strong mid-range and a wickedness at high RPM that makes you question if it really is 100 horsepower and not more. The sweet power delivery from 1,800 RPM propels you out of hairpin bends without any hesitancy. The sweet power delivery from 1,800 RPM. The mid-range pull becomes obvious from 4,000 RPM and lends the engine loads of flexibility to the point many roads can be enjoyed comfortably using just third gear. Then at 8,000 RPM, there's a marvelous change of tone that accompanies you like a battle cry all the way up to 11,200 RPM, blah, 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 blah. Well, folks, what I mainly want to highlight here is that that doesn't sound like a linear power band to me at all. And yet, from a parallel twin, you would be expecting a linear power band, and in my previous videos that kind of was discussed to an extent. My previous RS660 videos. Now, here's the deal, guys. A lot of you have been talking smack in the comment section of those videos about how this bike is going to be a turd. And I think one of the main reasons why a lot of you guys went there with this bike is the fact that I was sort of using the Gixxer 750 as a point of comparison, and that kind of misled you guys, several of you, because you guys were really crapping all over my thoughts behind that. Let me clarify yet again. What I was getting at is, compared to the 750, it is another option for a middleweight sport bike at a cheaper insurance price point. You know what I mean? That was my main focus of that discussion. All of that aside, let's get back to the topic at hand. I want to focus on the engine and what these two professional riders had to say about that engine. What we expected was comments, or at least what I expected, was several comments about a nice, smooth, yet powerful, even delivery of power all the way up the power band to 11.2. Now you see the FZ6R, for example, red lines at 11.5. So comparable RPM range there, but this bike is an inline 4. Now, this bike is fuel mapped in just such a way, even though it's an inline 4, to where it has a true linear power delivery. This bike has no punch whatsoever at high RPMs. It just evenly pulls all the way up to redline. Now, again, what these two riders were talking about was an impressive mid-range punch, as well as something going on above 8,000 RPM all the way to 11.2. That's a very commanding statement, guys. I think a lot of the preconceived notions on the two-cylinder machine are I guess a little bit premature, so to speak. I'll tell you something else. Aprilia has an interesting little advertisement campaign going on for this new bike. If you follow them on Instagram, they drop these little teaser videos every now and again, and one of the final statements in some of these videos is text that flashes across the screen and says, "It will surprise you." I think our friends at Aprilia might have a little bag of tricks under their sleeves. Like, I don't think this bike is going to be what a lot of you folks think it's going to be. I think it's going to impress people, even at just 100 horsepower. I think that nominal, power output of 100 solid horses, coupled with the electronics package and it's super lightweight, is going to be a game changer. Golly. But at the end of the day, here's the deal. I have full confidence in the development team at Aprilia putting a whole lot of thought and innovation into the design and features of this upcoming motorcycle. And I'd like to think that the words I just read to you guys out of this newsletter is kind of proof positive that I don't think it's what you're thinking it's going to be. And so I guess what I'm saying is, give it a chance. I think you and I both may be very pleasantly surprised, but I am curious as to what you guys now think. Leave some comments down below, folks. Let me know what you think about it based on everything you just heard. Still think it's going to be a bust? Or is it really going to have some potential? I think it's going to have potential, if you can't tell. But as always, this has been me and that has been you. It's been HalfClickUp. I'm out here, guys. Peace. Catch you on the next one. Goodbye.
I want percentage, yeah. Put you in your mind like fucking Guinness, yeah. You never